wrap. So we'll do no offense. We're going to fly through some of these because.
Yeah, it's the Browns. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Oh, people
first
checked out.
For real. We don't want to say that. If nobody cares, we shouldn't be talking about it at all. So people do care.
No, people do care.
They still care until
I don't
like
care.
10 losses.
I don't
We
care.
can't talk about rushing through, Mike. Let's just do it.
I don't care.
Stop rushing through.
I'm on the record. I don't care about the Browns this week.
Well, you've been dead inside for a long time.
And when Jason says, I don't care about the Browns, start the clip right there. Perfect teaser for anyone who wants to watch the clip. All right, first no fence rider of the week for the Browns versus the Saints. Will Jameis Winston throw for more yards this week than Derek Carr? Jason, Earl, G, Tyvis, J, and Bull all said yes, he will. Myself and Dustin don't think it's going to happen.
Dustin in the Nugget.
I think they're going to run the ball a lot. I'm predicting a big Nick Chubb game.
I
That's
feel
why
they
went
could
under.
be behind and could, it could be one of those games where they're just slinging it around all over in the fourth quarter that means nothing.
I think we have seen ceiling and floor of Jameis.
Yeah,
we've
good and
seen
bad.
the very best he can give, and we've seen the very worst.
I think
He'll
Jameis is
land
going to
somewhere
play
in the
well
middle.
this week. The Saints aren't very good. The
He
Browns
should be-
aren't very good, but neither are the Saints.
Jameis should be motivated going back and playing his
Yeah.
old team. The Browns coming off a bye have more time to prepare.
Right.
Jason is 1,000% correct. Forget the no fence riders. I put this on Twitter. I said, man, our Browns fans checked out. It's the most comments that I done got in a long time from. It was countless Browns fans that are like, yep.
This is a horrendous game to watch.
It's
it really is.
And I'm not that guy. I do Ultimate Browns. I got to do a joint today. Make sure you check out and
I
watch it.
almost put a topic in the TV show. Is this the least interesting Browns game we've had in the
Oh, it's awful.
And
This
then
is
Bull
an
reminded
awful
me that there
game.
were some other ones.
Mike
Well,
wasn't
their
here
game
for all
against
the
the
bad
Saints
years.
2 years ago on Christmas Eve when it was 0. That was another one. It's like,
Yeah.
There's been a lot of meaningless November and December games, unfortunately,
but
here.
this one is devastatingly
bad.
bad.
It's early to have one.
By the way,
I had
Ravens-
said that
this.
earlier. I think that I've measured more apathy towards the Browns this year than any other year I can remember.
Ravens Steelers is on.
Good.
I'll be curious to see what the ratings end up being between Ravens and Steelers and Browns Saints.
In Cleveland?
Yeah.
I think the Browns will still win the time
Yeah,
slot.
Oh, they
sure,
will.
but
They will.
Not by as much as they
but I
normally
wonder
do.
how much it compares to most weeks when there's
The,
Yeah, right.
The
right.
worst place you can be is not win-loss purgatory. It's quarterback purgatory.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Will Nick Chubb have more rushing yards than Taysom Hill has total yards? Taysom Hill had a 77-yard touchdown called back last week. So if you didn't know that, you missed out on a potential big play. However, most of us knew it because Dustin's the only one who said, no, it's not going to happen. The rest of us all think Nick Chubb's in for a big game.
Wow, I'm surprised Dustin said no.
I mean, big game is relative here. If it's 60 to 58,
I mean, big game is that over 100?
Taysom Hill's a weird player because, like, he
Yeah,
can
you
have
can't
0
predict what he's
yards.
going to do. You can't predict what
Right.
he's
He can
going
have
to do.
0 yards. He can have 80. Like, you never know how much they're going to
But
use
the
him.
reason I went yes is, to me, Nick Chubb is a safer bet
Sure, absolutely.
to be in that range than
And you
Taysom
think
Hill.
maybe coming off a bye, it's now a month that he's been back. The Saints are not very good.
You guys all said that this was the game that you had circled for
right,
Nick Chubb's
and I thought,
explosion game.
I have less confidence in that
Jason,
now,
you're
but-
looking like, no, you'd like to have that back.
That's one I'd like to have back.
Why?
You
don't think he's ready?
I'm not sure he'll ever be ready. I'm
Hey,
starting to think that Nick is. This is just.
I'm
what
gonna
he
tell
is.
you. I'm gonna tell you what's.
I
not.
don't think that's fair.
I'm
A
gonna
lot
tell-
of guys
I'm
struggle
gonna
coming
tell you
back
what
from
it
injury.
is.
Go ahead,
We'll
G.
see. I hope I'm
The
wrong.
offensive line run scheme is the worst in the league. They are. Listen, I told people 3 weeks ago. They're double teaming people and then letting linebackers come free. They're not even trying to get to the next level. How do you expect Nick Chubb to run past a linebacker who's unblocked?
Right.
But he's done it in the past.
That ain't supposed to happen.
I
Is that a
agree,
Bill
G.
Callahan? Is that Bill
it's
Callahan's?
a combination of the bad offensive line and him not being the same player yet.
I mean,
Potentially.
I think the thing that's most disappointing and depressing is that, like, we literally are counting on him to be superhuman in order for him to get regular yards. That's how bad it is.
And before, he could make a bad offensive
Yeah,
line
right.
look okay because he was good enough.
And they were better than.
You just invented a new word that I like.
What's that?
Disoppressing.
Yeah, this
It's a slash of disappointing and depressing.
You are right, though. The blocking schemes, the concepts changed from last year to this year, and it has not.
That's Callahan,
translated.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I think some of that is.
Yeah.
sure.
And it just hasn't translated.
Callahan was the run game coordinator. So, yeah, when he's gone, whoever comes in, unless they were picking up and just copy and pasting what they had previously done, they're going to change
Why wouldn't they have
how
done
they
that?
block.
You know what's really, I don't want to, I know we're trying to keep on time, I told Mike, I texted Mike, I talked to Bailey Zappi this week. Mm-hmm. He said when he walked in day one, he could have ran this offense because the verbiage is basically exactly what he came from in New England. And I found that really interesting. So they kept a lot of the AVP stuff in terms of verbiage and he said, I assumed that like they talked to AVP and TC when they brought him here. And obviously those guys signed off and thought Bailey would be a good pickup to bring here.
Or was it Stefanski's verbiage that AVP took to New England?
Well, yes, maybe. But the point is, maybe it did. I don't know. I wish I could give you a better answer how much has changed from this, because at times it looks like it's totally different. At times it looks very much like last year. But when a quarterback walks in off the street and says, yeah, the verbiage is what we were running in New England in training camp, that just kind of surprised me a little bit.
When the Raiders played the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl the year before, Gruden was in Oakland, and he came to Tampa. And all of the Buccaneers, when the game was over, all of them, Derek Brooks, Rondé Barber, all of the defensive guys said, after the first series, we came to the sideline and said, we're going to win this game. We know everything they're calling.
Yeah.
Bill Callahan didn't change any of it.
Yeah.
He just said, I'm going to keep Gruden's stuff. Why not? It was good. But you would think that when they're getting ready to play your old head coach, that you would change your buzzwords. But the Raiders had decided it was too late in the party to do that.
Wow.
So let's just roll with it. And they were calling stuff out. They were breaking on balls. They had everything in their back pocket.
It's so strange, Jason, because like I think the cognitive dissonance that's going on is you see them play 1 week one way, and then the next week it just seems completely different.
Yeah.
And it's like, was that the plan or?
Well, I feel like the 2 wins against Jacksonville and Baltimore felt like those 2 games felt most like what Kevin Stefanski ran last year.
Yeah, and then
there was more heavy personnel.
Then
in
they
those
came
wins.
out with 5 wide with Jameis, and I'm like, but that wasn't what you was doing last week,
That's right.
man.
Mike?
All right, next one. Will the Browns defense, which has not forced many turnovers this season at all, force more turnovers than Alvin Kamara scores touchdowns? If you think it'd be the same, I told you to answer no. Jason, Earl G, Tyvis, J, and Bull said no. Once again, it's me and Dustin feeling positive.
Wow.
Saying
Wow,
yes.
Dustin has been.
I think it's 2 turnovers to 1 touchdown.
Well,
What happened
yesterday.
to Jason? He's hidden.
Where is Jay?
Tyvis's hat is
He's
all
behind Tyvis.
Who made that graphic?
That's a good spot for me.
Anthony, that's like a low-key diss.
He's 30 seconds behind, so he'll throw his hands in the air in about 10 seconds.
We did a story last night on the 6 o'clock on KYC about the turnovers. I don't know has this ever happened that a team has had just 1 interception through 9 games?
I bet it has, but not often.
Actually, I asked that. There's one other team, I think, that also has just 1 pick. Like, think about that for a second. You just run into picks on accident.
No fumbles.
Their only pick is not by a linebacker. Is not by a
The Giants only have 1 pick this year.
Yeah, they were the other team that had 1 interception, but I just thought, God, 1 interception through 9 games. All the passes that have been thrown against this team, 1 pick.
A tip ball.
Something.
A collision, deflection.
Right.
And let's face it, I mean, you look at our secondary, you thought coming into the season was probably your best unit on the roster.
They've been invisible.
And
we know picks ain't a couple of these people's things.
What was funny was the soundbite we ran upstairs last night in the 6 o'clock sports was from Jim Schwartz, and he almost tried to justify it by saying, well, of course we want to get more turnovers, but we don't want it to become a thing where we start taking risks and we get hurt by that. Bro, you've been hurt all year long. This defensive unit is a shell of what it was a year ago. And now you're saying you don't want to start taking risks?
Right.
You've got 2 wins. It's time to start taking risks.
Next one. Is this the week the Browns have a 100-yard rusher or receiver for the first time this season? Earl, Bull, Dustin, myself said yes, it will, which means, Bull, who are you picking as the 100-yard rusher receiver?
You know who I've been high on lately? My man Cedric Tillman.
Yeah.
He's averaged 85 yards a game the last 3. This is going with the trend that I think the Browns are going to play much better this week. The offense is going to be good. It's going to con fans into believing they can go on a run, and then it'll all cave down after that. But for 1 game at least, This is the worst team left on their schedule.
Yeah.
At least on paper.
If they don't
right
win
now.
this one.
Right. So, and it's in the Dome, right? So I'm expecting a big game. I think Cedric Tillman's going to have like a $120.
I'm going with Nick Chubb for my pick. Question number 5. As a team, will the Browns have more sacks or touchdowns against the Saints? For the sacks, Jason, Earl, Tyvis, Jay, Dustin, touchdowns, G-Bull, and myself. So a 5-3 split here.
Yeah, I got the Browns with 3 touchdowns, 2 sacks.
Quietly, the Cleveland Browns is back to having Myles Garrett. That's it.
But you said you picked touchdowns, though.
Yeah.
Because he's saying he can't do it all.
They are back to, once again, it's Myles Garrett.
Double team Miles, and your
Triple
quarterback
team
leaves the
him,
field with no grass stains.
And JOK's not playing. Denzel Ward can tackle people, and you hope Mike Hall Jr. gets some pressures, but he ain't got no sacks. So it's back to Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
I'm going touchdowns.
All right, last one for the day, then we'll get to a proposed Cavs trade. We talked about this in the 5 stats to know before the last game, where I told you guys that Corey Bjorquez had more punt yards than the Browns had offensive yards. That stat caught wildfire. Everyone else picked it up. You know where you got it first.
Good job.
From McNuggets.
There you go.
So the question today, will Bjorquez have more punt yards than the Browns have total offensive yards versus Nola? Jay and Dustin are haters. They hate offense. They hate puppies. They hate rainbows. They hate smiles. The rest of us, at least, are going to hope for better days for this Browns offense on Sunday.
Well, I'm just going with the trend. Like,
I
when
mean,
Vegas sets lines, they play trends.
Yeah.
And that's been a safe bet this year. As hard as it is to believe that that's true, give them 8 punts. That's how many drives end in, for them. And if there's 40 yards per punt, which is a low punt average, you're at 320.
Well, it's a combination of your offense has been terrible and your punter's excellent.
It's the perfect storm. You're right.
I can't disagree that the odds are kind of in your favor. But again, like I said, I'm optimistic for this week only.
This is, I don't know, I don't want to derail anything. Like, if you looked at the Browns roster, which player or which young player could you say has the potential to be a top 100 player if you take Myles Garrett off the board?
Young player?
Crickets. Does
Top
JOK count as
100?
young?
Top 100.
How many wide receivers in the top 100?
8.
Then nobody.
That's a guess.
Nobody. Yeah, nobody. Top
think
100
Mike calls a chance.
in
He's
football is pretty high.
Jason's whistling
top-
Final Jeopardy theme.
top 150.
Boom, boom.
Top 150. Like, who would you say if you say, yo, we got this guy right here,
Right.
gonna be top 150? I could go top 200.
Like, go
Mike
with the
Hall
Rams.
looked really good against Baltimore.
You go with the Rams, who, like us, were in first pick purgatory, and they've got Puka and they've got Williams, and so they didn't have that first round currency either. That's an interesting question, G, because that is an indictment on Andrew Berry.
I think it's possible that Cedric Tillman could be top 200.
That ain't enough to win no games, though.
Well, it's better than nothing.
Well, if everything was fair and equal,
Yeah.
watch this. If
Yeah.
everything was fair and equal, every team would have 3 players in the
Right.
top 100. Every team.
At least.
So to have none,
We got one, Miles.
right?
But if you,
And Denzel, he was top 100 this year.
I don't even know if Denzel is.
I don't think
is
right
it gonna
now-
be next year.
no.
Right now, I would
I don't
not
think
put
he's
him in the
gonna
top
play
He
100.
He hasn't done enough this year to warrant being a top.
Yeah,
100
There are no
player.
picks.
He
I
leads
don't-
the NFL.
I don't
in
think
pass breakups.
Bitonio is top 100. Certainly Nick Chubb right now is not.
No.
Wyatt Teller's not top 100. Top 100, there's a lot of players in the NFL.
It's tough, yeah, top
So
100.
100 is
No,
pretty
I know.
exclusive.
But again, if it was fair and equal, every team would
You're
have
right.
3
No,
players.
If
yeah,
you
it's
said
true.
150 or 200, you still squinting hard.
All right,
Like,
well, let's think about this. So if we have the Browns. Do we agree only one player on the Browns is top 100?
Yes, I
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
Let's look at the other teams in this division, see how far off we are. The Ravens,
Well,
Lamar Jackson.
Henry.
Derrick Henry.
Is Henry? You know
he's-
what? If you look
Oh,
at his
yeah.
stats, he
Well,
He leads
absolutely
the NFL
is.
in he's on
Yeah,
pace
yeah,
for 2
yeah,
guys.
That's
yeah.
two.
Absolutely
Derrick
is.
Henry.
Matabike, their defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Definitely top 100.
Yeah, he's having
He's
another
100.
incredible season.
He's 100. He's top 100.
That's it.
You can. I mean, they got
Humphrey's not anymore.
They've got some receivers.
I
that
like
are
Zay
probably
Flowers,
top
but he's
100.
not top
Zay
100.
Flowers to
Roquan
me.
Smith.
He's
is
having
a
a bad year, though.
Yeah,
I don't
he's not-
think he's top
but-
100.
and I don't
right
think
now.
Kyle
Zay-
Hamilton definitely is.
Kyle Hamilton.
yeah.
So there- that's 4.
Definitely. That's
Four guys
right there.
Okay,
That's
I
4.
don't know about their offensive line. I don't know if they have any.
The Bengals, Joe
You know what's an interesting exercise would be the Steelers, because we always talk about them.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have the prototypical quarterback now that would lead you to a 7-2 record.
They have Watt and what's his name, the D tackle?
Cam Hayward.
Watt and Hayward.
Highsmith
Fitzpatrick.
Highsmith is
Fitzpatrick.
3 guys on defense for sure.
They don't have anybody on offense top 100.
Unless you want to talk yourself into George Pickens.
I don't.
But George Pickens is
Was
better.
that a serious question?
I said unless you want
It was a suggestion.
Top 100, George Pickens?
I said unless you want to talk yourself. I'm not
Stop
saying he
it.
is.
But
Stop
the pressing part is he's
Then
better.
look at the Bengals.
He's better than whoever we got.
Bengals probably have at least 3.
For the Bengals, you have Jamar Chase, you have Burrow,
Hendrickson.
Hendrickson.
So each team has at least what the league average should be if it was fair and equal, except for our team.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's an Andrew. You're pointing every finger you can at Andrew Berry.
It's also a lack of first-round picks because that's where a lot of those guys
You're
would
right,
come
but
from.
I bring up the Rams. They had no first-round currency either, and they hit on Williams, and they hit on Nakua, and they've hit on others.
Yeah, let's think about those guys on those 3 teams. So the Bengals guys, that's 2 first-round picks. Trey Hendrickson was not a first-round
Where
pick.
was Hendrickson?
I'm not sure.
They
Like,
traded
look
for
that
him,
up.
right?
Fourth-round
free
pick?
agent. Free agents, right?
They
he
picked
wasn't-
him up
he
as a
was-
free
no,
agent.
right,
but he
but
was fourth
where
round
he-
pick in the Saints.
Yeah, but I wonder where he was drafted.
4th-round pick.
Okay, that's
for the
man.
Steelers,
Watt was a first-rounder.
Minka was a first-rounder.
Hayward was too, wasn't he?
I think
they
he
all
was.
3 were first-rounders.
Yeah.
And the Ravens, Lamar first-rounder. Henry was a second-rounder, I think.
Yeah.
It's just, again, it's more, because running backs weren't going in the
Kyle
first round when
Hamilton,
he
I don't
came
know.
out.
He was first-rounder.
Yeah.
But
so.
what's crazy is it just does shine a light back on the trade. Why, when you give up 3 first-round draft picks, you might just
Gotta hit.
dismiss it. You've got to hit on your second, third, and fourth rounders, and we
Yeah,
haven't.
well, and you got to hit
And
on
the
the guy
players
you
gotta
traded.
got to hit. Well, that's a given. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're giving up 3 first-rounders, it shouldn't even be a question as to whether or not he's going to be a home run.
Right.
This guy's a grand slam home run in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs.
The running back for the Bengals, Brown, where was he drafted?
Late.
He's not a top 100 player. I love him, but he's not a top 100 player.
Okay,
He's got a lot of upside.
you got
He's playing
Brown,
really well.
and then you got Jerome Ford.
Oh,
I mean,
Brown's way better.
Clearly, what we've shown here is that the other teams in our division are performing at what should the league average be or above it, and we are well below it.
Now, the
Guys,
Bengals' record is 4-6. They should be better than that, but we'll see where. I still think they're going to grab the 7th
You know what's
seed in the
interesting
playoffs.
about 4 and 6?
Yeah.
It's like you can say this about any team in the NFL. They've lost 2 games that were in their hands.
Right.
So the difference between 4 and 6 and 6 and 4 is that much.
Yep.
It's sometimes it's just culture.
Guys, 5 minutes. I want to get this